What is going on, and welcome to today where we're going to walk through how to get enough leads to create $20,000 or more months in your online coaching business. So we're going to walk through like the 3 different steps that have to be in place from a marketing perspective for you to be able to actually produce these numbers. And this is really pertaining to you if you're selling a medium to high ticket coaching offer. So if you're in the fitness, health space, nutrition space, mindset space, and you have like a medium ticket or high ticket offer, these are the steps that it takes from a marketing side to really create these kind of months. All right. So there is a video guide and this PDF that goes along with this training. If you would like to see that visual PDF and the actual little mini, it's like a 14 or 15 minute video guide that's gonna kind of go through this. If you want to have that, just comment the word guide below and I will send it over to you. We're also going to put this on the podcast. So if you're listening on the podcast, just shoot me a message with the word video guide and I'll know what that means. And we'll send the guide in the PDF that goes along with this training, with this episode today. So if you are on the live stream with me, drop a live in the comments section below. And if you're on the replay, put a hashtag replay so I know when this reached you. And if you're listening on the podcast too, obviously this will be a recording. Like, let me know that you listen to this. Just shoot me a message. Like, I love to know who's tuning in and who's listening, and if you're getting value and stuff from this. So, anywho, let's go ahead and dive right on in. Waste no time. One of the biggest frustrations that I hear, and I experienced this early on in my online fitness coaching business, and I hear a lot of people experience this as well. It's like, you're posting content and you're consistent with your content. Like, you're doing it regularly, but you're not getting the actual leads to match the effort that you're putting in, right? It's like maybe you're following the strategies, you're following the tactics, whether it's you're trying to grow a group or you're trying to, monetize your personal Facebook or Instagram page. It's like it's not for a lack of not doing it. It's like you're posting stories, maybe you're going live, you're posting the content, but you're not getting the results. It's not matching the effort. And it sucks when that happens. It's because it's like us with a weight loss client, right? It's like somebody's going and working out in the gym, they're following a nutrition plan, and they're not getting results. It's frustrating and people want to quit. And usually as a coach, right, we have to say, hey, like, there's something off. Let's figure it out. Well, it's the same thing in your business, right? If you're posting content, if you're doing all of these things, but you're not actually getting the leads, it's because something's off. And typically it comes down to just a few things. And that's what we're going to walk through right here and right now. So let me erase my screen. And if you want to know how I'm drawing on my screen, just put draw and I'll let you know. I'll shoot a little mini tutorial. All right. So if you have already got the PDF and guide, what we're going to do is unpack that, right? So on Tuesday, we gave away the video guide. If you haven't yet got that video guide, you will within the next 12 to 24 hours or so if you already asked for it. Of course, if you didn't get it, you know what to do. Just drop guide below and I will send it to you. That video guide, I drew a model, all right? And what we're going to do right now is we're going to unpack that model right here. And I'm going to give you some accelerators. I'm going to show you $1,000 month mark in your business. Again, if you have a medium to high ticket coaching offer, if you're listening to this and you're selling $50 memberships or something like that, I can't promise those kind of results, but I can if you're selling something medium to high ticket. Okay. So let me pop back over to here. And so here is a little triangle. Triangles are a great way for us to kind of create simplicity around what we're doing. And so I shared this in the video guide. So if you've already seen this, I'm just going to unpack this a little bit further for you today and give you some steps. So the first thing that we want to do, right, when the goal here is getting clients, And so we want to be able to get clients, right? Because clients are what's going to allow us to have that kind of income at $20,000, $30,000 per month. Is that right? And so the goal of this is to get clients. This is a marketing perspective. We're not going to get into like delivering or anything right now. And what often is happening is we are not connected. So we'll say unconnected to our audience. So if we're not getting consistent leads, there is a disconnection, right? There's something that's off there, and I'll kind of walk you through some fixes in a moment. The second thing that often happens is we have low engagement. We have low engagement. This is typically due to a few different things, which I'll show you how to fix your engagement, how to actually get more comments, how to get more people reaching out to you. And then the third thing that happens because of this is we have inconsistent lead flow, right? So we have inconsistent leads. And so this in itself causes this frustration, right? So like when we're posting, this is the actual problem. There's disconnection here. And so what we have to be able to do is we have to first connect. If you're listening on the live, drop that in the comment section. Number one is we have to connect. I'm going to show you the two major ways under the connect. So the first step is to connect. And I'm going to show you the two major ways that you can start building a better connection with your audience, which is what attracts people to you. Okay, connection attracts. Write that down. Connection attracts. The second thing we have to be able to do is we have to captivate. We have to captivate. Once we attract and we get their initial attention, we have to keep their attention. And I'm going to show you some of the two major ways within step number 2, which is captivate, on how you can actually do that, how you can maximize your engagement, how you can help keep people engaged in your actual content, whether it's your live videos or if it's your written post or whatever it may be. And then the third thing we have to do is convert, right? Is convert. And so once you start to captivate people, step number 3 is to convert. Because once we have the leads coming in, that's amazing. But like if you want to be able to produce numbers like, 20K and above in your coaching business, you have to have these conversion systems in place. Does this make sense? And so the first thing that we have to do here. So if step number 1 is to connect, how do you connect? Well, there's 2 major ways that we connect. The first way, we have to be able to essentially sharpen our message, right? We have to sharpen our message. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, in a marketing perspective, in order to sharpen our message, we have to do these 3 things. And I encourage you, write this down, right? The first thing we have to do is we have to create a message that stands out. Right? Because if we're not connecting with our audience, the thing that we're talking about, the message that we're talking about, it's not that it may be wrong. It could be out of alignment, right? But the major thing is it's not connecting with the market wants, right? So we have to create a message that stands out. That's number 1. Your messaging is the 5% that will produce 95% of your results when it comes to your content, whether you're running ads or whatever it may be. And so the second part of sharpening your message comes down to the way you communicate your offer, right? And I'm not talking about how you talk about your program, so to speak. I'm talking about how you're communicating the promise that your program delivers. I see a lot of people miss the mark here, and it's a big thing that causes a disconnection with your audience. So those are the 2 ways that you sharpen your message. Then the second way here under connect is going to be to, I call it bulletproof confidence, and I'll explain what that means. There's 2 kinds of confidence. There is the confidence to try, and then there's the confidence of like, yo, I know I'm the shit, right? There's like 2 kinds of confidence. And so to develop confidence, meaning like, do you know exactly what to post, when to post it, what framework, what skills you have to develop so you could show up each day and say, this is what I'm going to post and I know it's going to produce results. Like that's what I'm talking about confidence. It's your confidence to be able to show up in your marketing and know that what you're doing is going to get results. Do you hear me? Like that's what I'm talking about with confidence. And so the 2 ways that you develop this kind of confidence in your marketing is A, you have to have some kind of structure. that you can essentially diagnose what's going wrong in your content, right? For example, the C5 framework is what we teach people for live video. It's like the most effective way to master the skills of live video and to get clients from it, okay? And if you're in our program, you probably know the C5 framework is the bee's knees, okay? And what this does, just like a sales system, right? So say like you're not getting sales calls, you can just look back. Is it your messenger process? Is it your content? Or if you are getting sales calls but you're not closing it, is it your sales process, right? That is it's a pipeline, it's a structure. Well, with your live videos, with your content, it's the exact same way. Having that structure gives you confidence because it allows you to diagnose what's not going right. Like in your content, are you not enticing people? Right? So maybe we've got to work on our headlines. Maybe we have to work on our, the first 7 seconds of our video or the first couple lines of our writing, of our written content. Maybe it's that you're not really doing good with storytelling and your content's kind of boring, right? Maybe it's you're not really dropping CTAs that are working, right? But it gives us a diagnosis if you know how to read it. The second part of confidence, outside of having that structure, much like the C5 framework, which is the way you master live video, is knowing what topics to actually talk about. So now that you've sharpened your message, how do you actually communicate that to your audience? Well, it's coming up with the topics. And we really break down topics in 4 ways. I encourage you to write these down. Number 1, it is connection, right? Your ability to attract people to you, connection type topics. The second one, we call it MOB. That stands for mistakes, objections, and beliefs. MOB content, okay? The third is results, right? Results. So what connection does is attracts. MOB content is what influences that essentially helps you convert. And then results, just like a little cream on the top, right? A little cream on the top. The results kind of content helps your audience see, okay, obviously he or she knows what they're doing. Let's go. And then number 4 is teaching, right? If all you do is teach, you're going to kill your sales. You're just providing information. You're pretty much a commodity to your audience. However, when you are focused on the top 2, the connection and the influence, your MOB content, those are the things that push your content over the edge and it helps you attract and convert. The results are the cream on the top. It lets people see that you know what you're doing. And then the teaching is just, you teach your little heart out, right? Teach your heart out because you're a coach and that's what we'd like to do. Okay, so having that dialed in is what gives you that bulletproof confidence. Do you hear me right now? Do you hear me right now? If you're on the live, drop a heck yes if you hear me right now. If you're listening on the podcast, just give me a virtual fist bump or something like that, like through the air. I'll feel it, okay? And so that's how you get confidence. Now, let's move on to step number 2, to captivate. These 2 things alone are going to set you apart and are going to help you start getting traction with your marketing. But now we have 2 other things, right? And let me zoom in because I don't know how much room I have to write. So we have to maximize engagement. If you want to get the lead flow to get to these 20K months, we have to maximize your engagement. You get what I'm trying to say. My writing's terrible. My bad. If you're listening on a podcast, good for you because you don't have to see my terrible writing. And so maximizing engagement is one of the main ways that you're going to be able to start captivating your audience. And so the 2 ways that you can maximize there's more than 2, right? But I'm trying to give you the high level skill sets that you can say, okay, and you can have a little map to kind of chart along your journey. Okay, so to maximize engagement, we have to be able to get really good at enticing our audience, meaning we have to get good at writing headlines for our live videos, for your written content, maybe subject lines for your emails, okay? And it's a skill, dude, it takes time. And then you have to also get good at that intro, right? In a video, it's that first 3 to 7 seconds makes or breaks the difference, okay? And then at the same time, to maximize engagement, we have to just be okay. We don't have to be masterful, but we have to be okay at storytelling and using metaphors and analogies to help wrap our topics in. Because if you're just teaching a freaking topic, people are gonna be disengaged. Do you know what I mean? When you can, for example, in my fitness business, I would talk about American Ninja Warrior around a topic, or I would use metaphors, when it came to my prospective clients dieting on going on a road trip with my family and only filling up with $5 in the tank, and then trying to go and I'd be like, how far do you think we're going to make it on this road trip if we only put $5 on our gas tank? And I would relate it back to them, restricting their calories too much, and it makes it make sense. Does that make sense? It makes it make sense. And so we want to really, get decent at storytelling. We want to get decent at using metaphors and analogies, because when we can do that and we can get pretty good at writing headlines and stuff like that, you're going to start maximizing your engagement. You're going to start getting more and more people to comment. You're going to start getting more and more people hooked into your videos. All right. And now the second part of being able to captivate people. So y'all, we're still on number 2. If you want to have a little filing system for your brain, the second thing we have to do here under captivate is we have to align our audience's beliefs. Now, this is probably one of the biggest areas where I see a lot of coaches struggling, is they're not aligning beliefs. All right, so I'll go right back to that, but I want to, pan out for a minute. For example, what often happens is we start getting okay at writing headlines. We have a pretty decent message and all that stuff, but we're not actually moving people forward in our content, right? And how do you align beliefs? Well, you have to help discredit the mistakes that your audience is making. Right? You have to be able to help pull apart some of the objections that are going on in their head. So even if they believe that your way is like the best way, there's still going to be the buts in their head, right? They're going to say, but this, but that. We have to get really good at basically breaking the current beliefs they have that are keeping them stuck and installing new beliefs in our content through our speaking, to get them to see things in a different way. Right? Because the old way of marketing is, here's a feature, here's a benefit, do this, do that. That doesn't work in 2020 going into 2022. The new way of marketing is getting people to see things a different way. You feel me? That's really key. That's how you align beliefs, right? We have a little influencer framework, and we have scripts inside of our mastermind that we give to our students to help them literally just install this into their business. Now, that's step number 2. Step number 3, okay? And if you have questions on this is a coaching. If you're on the podcast, just shoot me a message if you have a question. Step number 3 is convert. This is where now, with these 2 steps in place, you will start to get leads coming in. Like, you will. It's just like, I'm telling you, if you start mastering these things, you will. We've now helped over 90 coaches with this process, so it's like we see it happen. And then the third thing here is under the convert part. We have to get people to raise their hands, right? You have to get people to raise their hands. And the term raise hands could be, let me move my head. My head always ends up in the way when I'm drawing. Let me move my head out the way. So we got to get people to raise their hands, okay? And how do we do that? Well, there's a couple different ways. First is we have to be able to maximize the amount of comments we get, right? And especially if you're on Facebook or Instagram or using a Facebook group, like, these are the ways you have to do it. You have to get people to start commenting. It's a freaking, like, it helps boost the algorithm. Like, the only reason you want to be able to do it. And you could build relationships with people. The next part of this, to get people to raise their hands, is you have to be able to master your call to actions. You have to be able to master your call to actions, right? Master your call to actions. Like, this is one of the most important things you could do. Most people straight up are just not great at call to actions. Maybe they're in their head and they feel salesy, right? And you don't always have to drop you want to sign up for my stuff. In fact, you probably shouldn't, but there's different ways to do a call to action to really get people to move forward, right? One of our students now, and if you're watching this, dude, like, shout out to you, Alex Solomon, who recently, and actually there's another one, Emily just did this as well, doing like a challenge and a little live series, so I'm about to show you in a second, which is like really how we get people to book calls, at least in our world. It's like Alex had like 15 calls booked. Like, he got all of these people from his CTA, 15 calls booked in a freaking day. He sent it to me. He's like, hey, it's Monday, I've got 15 calls booked. Which is a record for him. It's probably a record for most people. He didn't actually have all 15 in one day, but he booked the calls in one day. That'd be insane if you did 15 calls in one day. I'd be like, dude, are you sleeping? Like, what's going on? And so that's what happens. That's the power of you mastering the CTAs, okay? And then the second part of this is booking calls. If you want to be able to convert, you obviously, especially if you're the person I'm talking to right now, you have to be able to book calls, right? And when it comes to booking calls, and I want you to write this down, when it comes to booking calls, you need to do a couple things. The main thing that we teach people for booking calls is what we call a live series launch, okay? A live series launch, right? This is really a series that you do where you're doing like a 3-part or 4-part series. You can call them workshops or whatever, challenges. You know, Emily, one of our clients, just did a challenge, or she's doing a challenge now, and she just posted she's up at $8,500 so far in her challenge collected. That's not even contracted, collected in just a few days. And she's got 5 more calls on the book so far, and she's still going, so it's pretty cool. So when you could do these live series launches effectively, like I teach our students, then really cool stuff can happen for you. And that's one of the ways that we teach people to book calls. So I highly recommend that. This is very unique to us. So if you want to learn this process, straight up, I am the inventor of this specific process, and so you have to learn it from me. Like, you know, go figure, right? But like, I can teach it to you better than anybody else because I kind of made this. And then the next part of this is you have to have conversion conversations. You know, a lot of people teach chat, right? And some chat things are really good, but what I see a lot of coaches doing is like, and I'm super freaking guilty. Some of y'all are in Messenger with me right now, and like, I'm really giving, maybe to a fault sometimes. But I really care about people, but sometimes that's bad. Not bad, it's bad for the client or the person because you may not be able to actually help them transform if you're too giving. And that's what a lot of coaches are doing is like they're too giving in Messenger when we shouldn't be because it's not gonna help them. It's okay to give some freebies, right? But if we're just coaching people in Messenger, like because we care, that person is actually gonna be worse off because they're not getting the results they could be getting in their body, right? Or whatever. For me, it's like in your business, you know, for you, it's like they could be getting much better results if they were on a call with you and if they joined your program. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it's really important that you structure, and we actually have a script inside of our mastermind on how to do this, right? On how to take somebody from Messenger and get them into a call. So the live series launch is really, really like the way we do it. And we recommend people do that every 8 weeks. And the conversion conversations is something that usually comes off of a new system that we came up with recently. And it's really freaking crushing it for people, Evergreen. We are calling it the weekly client or the weekly launch calendar. It works phenomenally well if you have a Facebook group, but it's also working well with a few tweaks on personal. If you have if you're doing like Facebook or Instagram personal, it's still crushing it, but there's a few tweaks you have to make, and then you get them into a conversation and get them onto a call within the first like 24 to 48 hours. That's it, right? And so those are the steps, right? So there are 3 steps, but really I broke it down into 6 chunks. And so let's go ahead and recap really quick. And again, if you want the PDF for this and the 15-minute training, I unpack this a lot more than the 15-minute training. But if you want this PDF that you can like have the map that I just drew and be able to print it out, and I actually have it broken down. The map that I have on the PDF actually has the specifics written out. So that way it's like not just sharpen message, but it has the things that I mentioned. So that way it's like you can kind of pinpoint the skills. And you can use it as a map, kind of like a GPS to say, okay, is my message sharpened, right? Do I have the confidence to go live or write my content and know what topics? Am I so if you want to see all those skill sets laid out so you can really use it as if you're driving, you know, and using a GPS, you know, again, put the word guide below, or if you're on the podcast listening, just shoot me a message with the word video guide. If you're on the podcast, don't just say guide, say video guide, because I'll know what you're talking about. And I will send it to you. But let's go ahead and recap, because this is how you get to $20,000, $30,000 months. We're seeing it all the time in our world. This is how I did it. And it is the best way, quite frankly. because it's a system. It's something that you can repeat over time. So you're not like just freaking like shooting at the, from the hip and guessing. It's something that like actually can be optimized, right? This is a system that can be optimized. Most people are just posting content. They're following a strategy blindly. This is not a strategy. These are principles built in here that you develop skill sets on, right? You develop skill sets on, and when you can optimize those skill sets, this is where you start producing the results in your business. So to recap, the 3 steps is you got to connect, right? Most people are unconnected. You have to be able to connect. You have to be able to captivate, right? Most people have low engagement because they're not captivating. And then you have to be able to convert. Most coaches are getting inconsistent lead flow, and it is a result because of all of these things, right? But you have to be able to convert when you start getting leads in. And the ways you do that is you sharpen your message. That's number 1. And the second thing under connection is you have to be able to develop bulletproof confidence to know what kind of content to post to really amplify your messaging and get it out and get people to attract, to get into your world and to convert, to move into your business. And under captivate, under step 2, we have maximizing engagement. We talked a little about headlines, the first 7 seconds. You have to get good at those things. Storytelling, using metaphors and analogies versus just teaching on a topic. Then you have to align people's beliefs. You have to help break their old beliefs and install new ones in your content. If you wait for the sales call, you're going to get a ton of objections. If you do this effectively in your content, you're not going to get a lot of objections on sales calls, right? And then number 3 is to convert. You have to be able to get people to raise their hands, meaning you have to be able to like maximize your comments. And you have to be able to master the CTA because that's what blows up your inbox, okay? And then number 4, the second part of convert is booking calls. And we personally do this and we teach our students, this is like the main part of our system, to do a live series launch. Works really freaking well, and you will book a lot of calls. You will have days like Emily, $8,500 days, or Alex, who I think sometimes I don't even freaking know, 15 calls booked. I don't even know what his sales are from that. I know he's like doing 20, 30K months, with this process. And then being able to maximize your conversations so that way you're not coaching people for free and that you're actually getting them booked on calls 24 or 48 hours when you follow the right framework. And you have them coming in. So anyways, if this makes sense to you, just say yes. Say yes. If you're on the podcast, again, just shake your head or something or give me a thumbs up, and I will feel it through the ether. And anywho, I hope this is helpful. And again, if you would like the video PDF and if you want to see this, the PDF of the map, the video guide and the PDF of the map that you can literally print out, right? Like, hold on. Like, you can literally print this map out and you can follow it. Go figure. I follow my own advice, right? It's crazy in this day and age. Most business, coaches don't even follow their own advice. It's like they're teaching organic, but they're running ads. It's like they're not even freaking doing organic. I'm like, dude, what are you even teaching? You're like not even teaching what you're doing. Anyways, you could print out the map and you can have it as like a little guide. If you want that, just let me know and I'll send it to you. All right. So with that being said, much love. I would love to know if you're on the live stream too, like what is your biggest takeaway? Just drop what stood out to you the most. I would love to know, love to hear from you. As always, remember this, your message matters now more than it ever has before, right? Let's look around at social media. There's so much fear. There's so much negativity. There's so much scarcity being spread. But your message contains a passion. It contains an enthusiasm for helping other people. And that message, that passion, that enthusiasm contains a light. And that light has the power to shine and to diminish some of this darkness that's caused by this fear and this negativity on social media. So it is your sole freaking duty as a coach to get out there and to make shit happen, okay? To learn these skills that we talked about today, to get out there and to speak that message out to the world. Because right now, if you're not gonna do this, then you're just allowing the darkness to win. But you can help freaking change some lives, and at the same time, you can make some damn good money, okay? So just don't be afraid to speak your message. Get out there and speak it. And if you want some help, you can become the In-Demand Fit Pro too. All right, as always, have faith, stay focused, and take aligned action. Bye.